Hello, I'm Ally Padron. Welcome to my home. Thanks for coming over. And today I'm going to talk about my favorites for this past year in these 4 different categories. So I'm really excited. Let's get into it. Category number 1 is going to be TV shows and movies that I saw. Now, I have a really close friend. Her name is Ariel, and she is such a movie buff. She is my source, okay? For all these great TV shows and movies, I've seen a lot of shows and movies because of her. But I have to say, the most recent one that I watched, and I did like it, was Game of Thrones. Now, hear me out. It's really intense, and it's dark too. And I usually don't go for dark. I'm usually like a inspirational movies or action or comedy. Those are my more comfortable movie genres. Game of Thrones was not that. And it was something else, let me just say. But I really liked the time kind of aspect of it, like the lords and the ladies. I love that sort of thing. And the dresses and like the medieval sword fighting. All of that was really cool to me. What I really liked about it was the characters were unconventional in that the bad guys, there was something about them that was still relatable and you still either pitied them or empathized with them in a sense. And the good guys, they weren't purely good either. There was stuff about them that tainted them or they had certain weaknesses. So I really liked the complexity of the characters in the show. I also feel like Game of Thrones had me thinking a lot on like a spiritual level. For example, Daenerys, who is the silver-haired lady. This is a spoiler. She dies. Like, most people know she dies, and she becomes the bad guy at the end. But the reason why she became the bad guy was because she was too quick to kill off people. She didn't show mercy. It's either bend the knee or die. And she would just kill people. And that's how they created her bad guy arc. I think they did it too fast. They rushed into it. But it was interesting for me to think, like, wow, she was such a hero in the beginning of the show. Like, she was a conqueror. She was a breaker of chains. She went from a girl who, like a little girl who got sold into an arranged marriage, but she really found her own strength. And she became a really like strong, admirable character. And then she became a bad guy, like towards the end. And it was because she didn't show mercy. It was because she was quick to anger and she was quick to punishment and judgment. And it made me think about God, because there's a lot of evil that goes on in this world, and there's a lot of things that we can observe in this life and be like, God, like, how are you tolerating this right now? Like, how are you allowing this evil to go on right now when these people are in open defiance to your rule and your reign and your goodness? Like, how can you be good in this situation? And that's a really deep question. That's a really good question, I think, to wrestle with God about. And I'm not going to really dig too deeply into that. But it made me think about, wow, God is really long-suffering. God is very patient when it comes to the evil of humanity. And in one sense, there's justice in us because we're made in the image of God that says this is not right, this is not good, that evil exists like this. This is not good that human trafficking exists. This is not good that there's hatred and there's violence and there's evil in this world. And our souls should feel that way because God feels that way, but to an extreme. To the max extreme, because he's holy, he's perfect. There is no evil within him. There is no shifting shadow. Unlike with us, there is brokenness in us. Like, we are affected by sin and the curse, and yet we still also feel justice and we feel anger towards evil. Imagine God, like how strongly he hates evil, and yet he is so patient. He is so long-suffering that he doesn't just kill people on the spot. He has in the past, but as a rule of dumb. Like, he's very long-suffering. I think about the verse in Exodus where it says, the Lord, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. Like, wow. I feel like I'm going on a rant now and just a tangent, but Daenerys became the bad guy because she was quick to anger, because she punished defiance immediately, but the Lord is slow to anger, and the Lord gives many, many chances. His mercies are new every morning, and he gives grace to the righteous and to the unrighteous. And, you know, I still feel like, how can this be tolerated? But I put hope in a God who's good, who's so patient and loving, but he won't let the guilty go unpunished. That same verse in Exodus says, he will not let the guilty go unpunished. He will defeat the final enemy, which is death. So now I'm definitely going on a rant, but Game of Thrones had me thinking. It was a really good show, in my opinion, well made. The ending was a little bit not as great as the beginning, but still overall a good recommendation from my friend Ariel. Shout out. Okay, TV shows and movies. Second TV show and movie I really liked. Now, it's not one in particular. I'm going to share a few that I watched, but orca documentaries. Let me tell y'all. I love sea life. Like, I love orcas, dolphins, sharks. When I was growing up, I told people a shark was my favorite animal, specifically a whale shark. And to this day, whale sharks are up there. They're top 5 in my favorite animal list. I love ocean animals. I love otters, sea turtles. Like, dude. Mr. Turtle's my father.
Whoa, dude. Mr. Turtle is my father. Name's Crush.
I love watching ocean documentaries, and I think orcas are taking that #1 spot for favorite animal. They're so cool. They're pack animals. They are a family. I feel like the difference that switched me over from shark to orcas, where sharks are more lone hunters, they're more on their own, just in the deep, or not in the deep too, and yeah, they're predators and they're formidable in their own right, but they're solo guys, you know? But orcas are family people. An orca is a family man, you know? So, orca documentaries, it's up there. I am having so much fun talking about this. Thanks for being here. Number 3, Jojo Rabbit. That was such a good movie. And it didn't come out in 2022, but I happened to watch it in 2022. I think my husband had it on his to watch list for a while, and he still didn't get around to it. So we watched it together, and it was really sweet. It was an endearing movie. It was funny. It was like impactful. Acting was really good. I can't really describe it. I don't want to describe it too much for those of you who haven't seen it, but highly recommend it. It's about this young boy who's German during the time of the Holocaust, and his imaginary best friend is Adolf Hitler.
Heil me, man.
And I know, that sounds weird, but it's not. It's actually a really good story. And I feel like with a lot of Holocaust movies, it happens where a character in the movie realizes that Jews are just human beings, and it's like, yeah, duh. It's crazy like how brainwashed the Germans and the Nazis were during that time. It's a terrible time, but I actually kind of like Holocaust movies. I don't know if that's weird to say, but Life is Beautiful is another one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, I really recommend it, Jojo Rabbit. Okay, next category is spiritual content. Spiritual content. Now, I'm a podcast girl. I love podcasts. I love audiobooks. It's hard for me to sit down and read an actual book besides the Bible. And I used to be a reader. It's a lost skill. It's a lost art. But podcasts are where it's at for me. And my favorite podcast of this past year was Lisa Harper's Back Porch Theology podcast. I love her. She just oozes grace, and she's so humble and sweet. And it's Lisa Harper and Allison Allen. They just talk about different theological concepts, so I feel like I learn a lot in that sense. I love when women in the church, the capital C church, talk about deeper theology. I think that's really amazing. I love Sadie Robb. I love Jackie Hill Perry. So yes, but Lisa Harper's podcast is definitely one of my favorites this past year. My favorite memory verse from this past year is my wallpaper on my phone, so I'm just going to read it. I haven't memorized it, sadly, but I've been trying to meditate on it, and it's 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13, and this is the ESV. It says, "Therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ." And I love this verse so much, especially for where it says, set your hope fully. And I really think I needed to hear that in this past season of life, because putting my hope in lesser things than Jesus and his coming again is very disheartening, especially if you put hope in something and it doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't work out the way you want it to. It's like, it's kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. I'm not trying to be like Zendaya, where, she's like,
I don't know, I just feel like if you expect disappointment, then you can never really get disappointed.
But what I am saying is she kind of got a point. Like, why make your heart heavy, or why set yourself up for a hope that you're not sure is going to happen? But I am sure that Jesus Christ gives grace every day, and he's going to come again. So because I'm certain about that, my hope is certain in that, it's sure, I can have confidence in that. Set your hope fully on Jesus. Why put it in lesser things? Okay, another spiritual fave is I have been going to a biblical counseling course with my friend Nani. It's hosted at a church in Torrance, and this church is amazing. Like, they have a thriving counseling program, and you can really tell just the pastors have a big heart for biblical counseling, and that every Christian should learn how to be a counselor, because as Christians, we are counseling each other. If you're asking advice from a friend, if you're receiving advice, that's counseling. And so it's great to have it from a biblical perspective, from a gospel-centered lens. And I feel like I've been learning a lot from that course and just gaining perspective. Every session that I go to, I think more deeply about my own life and what others are walking through around me in their suffering. And yeah, I think it's teaching me a lot. Something that stood out to me from the very first session as a takeaway was that every Christian is a sinner, a sufferer, and a saint. And I think that's so true. I think depending on the church that you grow up in, sometimes there can be an emphasis on one of those three. But for a more holistic understanding of ourselves in relationship to God, knowing that we are sinners, sufferers, and saints before him, I think there's a lot of grace in each of those categories and areas. So just something that I've been thinking about lately. But biblical counseling, I highly recommend if you get any opportunity to do something like that. It's been really good for my soul. Okay, so these are going to be my top 3 favorite things that I either received or I purchased. And it's really hard to narrow it down because I purchased a lot of stuff on Amazon. So I'm going to do more favorites videos. I love favorites videos of like my home and the things I purchased on Amazon and all that jazz. But just 3 things that have been my favorite. One is this water bottle. This is the water bottle of my dreams, okay? I'm telling y'all. And my sweet husband bought it for me. So, love you, Tristan. Thank you. He got me this guy. It's a very minimal design. It says BKR because that's the brand name. I don't know if you can see it, but it has I think this is plastic, a plastic lid that just unscrews very easily. The nozzle, is this a nozzle? Sorry, can't English today. But this top spout part is really thin in case you just want to drink from it directly. easy, no spill process. The straw I bought separately on Amazon, and it had a little dolphin on top, which I liked and I kept for a while, but then I took it off. But it's a blue straw because I wanted it to match. And yeah, it's glass, Borsalite glass. So that is the main factor that I love about this water bottle. I love glass water bottles. It just tastes so much better. I had a glass water bottle, and it was a bamboo lid with a silicone covering, and it got kind of moldy. Ooh, kind of gross on my end, but this is a great replacement. It also has a silicone sleeve, so I don't feel like it's too fragile because it has a really thick protective sleeve. But yes, I love this water bottle so much. It's 16 ounces. They do have smaller sizes and larger sizes. Here I am advertising for them, but I love this guy, and this is my favorite color. So yeah, that's number one. And then number two would have to be my rings. I will show you. Here they are. These are the rings that I wear most of the time. Of course, my wedding engagement ring that I got right here. And then this ring, I just feel like the middle one looks kind of like elven, and I love Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I like the look of it, kind of vintagey. And then on my other finger, I have this wavy ring, and it's really dainty. And this thick ring and this wavy ring are both 14K gold fill. So they're not like solid gold or anything, which makes them a lot cheaper. They both are around $30, I want to say, but because they're gold filled, they're durable. They're gonna last probably 5 to 10 years, I think. And I shower with them, I wash dishes with them, and they still look great. So really like those two rings. This wavy ring is also a friendship ring with my two friends, Nani and Ariel. So yeah, I'm kind of platonically married to them. Last thing I want to highlight is this sweater. I love this warm souffle knit sweater. I got it from Uniqlo. Uniqlo is one of my favorite places to shop, but coming closer, has these 4 little button guys here. It's very soft. It's a cropped fit. So yes, it's very complimentary, but yeah, it's very versatile. I wear it all the time with any type of high-waisted pants. So I really like this sweater. I would get it in different colors as well, but the dark gray is really easy to coordinate because it's pretty neutral. So okay, this is a very special category. Memories and just real life stuff that happened this year. It's crazy that so much happened in 2022 for me, but at the same time, it also felt really chill. I don't know how to explain that, but I got engaged, I got married, I had my first kiss, first time having sex, there we go. First time having sex, I had my bachelorette in between, my bridal shower, moved in to our home, our apartment. So yeah, a lot happened. I'm just gonna package that all in one kind of thing, but just getting married. It's just so much that all happened, but I'm very, very grateful to my bridesmaids who were just the sweetest girls to hang out with, and they were so kind to me, and I felt very loved and appreciated by them, and I hope they feel the same way that I give towards them. But they're amazing. It was really fun spending time with them. And my husband, I've loved living with him. I love marrying him. I just love him. He's awesome. So yeah. Okay. What else? Life moments. Another really precious life moment to me that happened, or it's not really a moment, but over the course of this year, I formed an accountability group with my two friends, Nani and Ariel. I've already mentioned them in this video, but those girls are my people, man. I love them so much, and we've just gotten a lot closer in this past year with having accountability. So really, it's just intentional friendship hangouts that we try to do on a consistent basis. So it's been great just getting to be vulnerable with them, sharing life with them. They're amazing girls. They've gone through their own life phases and transitions over this past year that have been pretty big. So it's been really cool that we could all be there for each other. They're amazing. My very last favorite of this year has been hosting and cooking for people. I didn't really used to cook in the past places I lived in. I kind of lived out of a suitcase, I gotta say, in a sense of I've never had a lot of things, and I shared rooms most of my life, but even like post-grad I was sharing rooms, and so yeah, just living with a lot of other girls, the space in the kitchen is kind of, you get like one little cubby and that's about it. But now I have a whole kitchen with stuff that I put in there that I organized to my liking, so thank the Lord for that. Cooking, I've been learning how to cook different dishes. I've cooked so far katsu, chicken katsu specifically, mandu or dumplings, and what else? I can make a pretty good like garlic cream pasta with breaded chicken. That one takes a lot of work because I make the sauce from scratch. So I haven't done that one in a hot minute, but I think I did that one pretty good. And cream cheese ragoons. So yeah, I've been cooking a lot. Tristan makes a really good lomo saltado. If you've ever had that, it's like a really great dish at Soup Noodle, which is a ramen place, but they have this kind of like Peruvian / Asian style dish. It's steak and fries and ahi sauce and onions and chef's kiss. It's so good. So yes, cooking and having people over. I feel like every time we've had people over, or most of the time, I get to cook for them or Tristan cooks for them. So that's been really sweet. I love having people over to my home. I love having you over to my home. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy you came, and I hope to see you again soon. I hope you enjoyed these favorites. Let me know what your favorites were this year in any of the categories or beyond, and I will see you again soon. Bye.